Welcome to fourth grade history. This is for lesson 156. We're going to be looking at pages 222 to 224. And so we're going to read, of course, 222 is just the picture with the timeline and things that happen. We're going to be looking at that. But then you'll read all of 223 and all of 224. So that will be the spot or the top in the white section, and then down in the fact box we're reading 1 through 20. Okay, so this is lots of information to about this time for freedom and responsibility. Okay, so this is our last chapter that we are looking at, so we're going to be going through this, and it's then you're going to be taking the test and we're going to be done with school. So it's just crazy how we only have 3 weeks left, and so we're going to be moving through this fast, I'm sure. And so some of the things to note is right there where this chapter starts. It's the end of World War II. There, 1939 to 1945. So at 1950, between 1950 and, really 1945 and 1960, some things were starting to change in the United States. And so there were lots more machines that were being produced, like automatic washers and dryers, television, dishwashers, even microwave ovens and computers. So the microwave oven might not look quite like what you would think of as a microwave, because there is a difference, but that was the beginning of being able to heat something up quickly instead of having to wait for the oven or the stove to warm it up. And most Americans could afford to get these conveniences. There were things like jet airplanes replaced slower propelled-driven aircraft. Atomic energy provided cheap and plentiful power. We were a wealthy nation, and we were enjoying that. And we wanted freedom and opportunity for all Americans. The Bible talks about treating everyone equal. In 1 Samuel 16:7, it says, "But the Lord said unto Samuel, Look not on his countenance, or on the height of his stature, for the Lord seeth not as man seeth, for man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart." And when we started talking about David, remember that's what the Lord told Samuel when he was anointing David. He said, I see what's inside. I don't look on this outward appearance. I see what's inside. Romans 2:11 says, "For there is no respect of persons with God." God doesn't put people on these levels and say, okay, well, you're the most important, and then you're the next, and you're here, and oh, you're down here. No, that's not what God does. And that's what many Americans felt like we needed to treat others like God does, because we were at this time, it's changed quite a bit since this time, but there was a great pull for living in light of living for God, trying to be respectful of others, and having this idea that we were a Christian nation. And at that point we had a lot of moral standards that were part of our everyday American life. And that has changed some, and some things have changed a lot. But one of the things that really changed was that the people were wanting to break down racial prejudice. They didn't want people being prejudiced against someone because of the color of their skin. And one of the things that they did, one of the first group to achieve more opportunities was the Black Americans, who wanted to guarantee a better life for their children under the legal government. You know, they weren't trying to just be having freedom without the government. They wanted it under the legal government. Brown versus the Board of Education was the first court case that turned out like this, and it said that the Supreme Court ruled that schools should no longer be segregated because they used to have black schools and white schools, okay? But now they could go to school in the same place, and this did cause some tension for quite a while. There were lots of people that didn't like this change. They thought that they thought there were whites that thought they were superior to blacks. There were blacks that didn't want to be in the school with the whites because they didn't like the confrontation, because there were many people that would fight against this. But you know, they were told that they had to go to the same school, and so this was something that they were told to do, so they had to do it. In 1963, about 200,000 people who wanted civil rights for all Americans met in Washington, D.C., and they heard at the Lincoln Memorial, they heard Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., okay? This man addressed the crowd, and he was a great speaker, and he wanted to bring civil rights to all Americans. No matter the color of their skin, he believed that all people should live together in freedom. And he had his famous speech is the one that he did here on the Capitol, at the Capitol. It's called "I Have a Dream" speech. Everyone calls it that, but he started, "I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. I have a dream that my 4 little children, who will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." And there was many more things that he said, but you know, he said, "Don't let anyone pull you so low as to hate them." So he didn't think that we should hate people that were continuing to show racial prejudice, but he wanted people to change and to see that everyone was created equal by God. And so the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was passed by the Congress. It promised that all races would be able to vote, live, and work wherever they chose. And sadly, Dr. King was shot and killed in 1968, and so he didn't live very long, but there were people that didn't like what he had to say, and so somebody shot him, and it's awful. You know, the first Black American to be an advisor to the president was Robert Weaver. Lyndon Johnson appointed him as a cabinet member, and he also was the same president that nominated Thurgood Marshall, who became the first Black Supreme Court justice. And so Black Americans were becoming successful in high places in the government and in different things in every area of life. And so that was something that was just a breakthrough for people being treated equally. So you're going to go ahead and read pages you're going to read 222 to 224. Before I let you go, let's go and let's say our states and capitals, okay? So it's on page 254 and 255 if you need it. We're just going to start with the first one or at the top and go all the way to the end, okay? Montgomery, Alabama, Juneau, Alaska, Phoenix, Arizona, Little Rock, Arkansas, Sacramento, California, Denver, Colorado, Hartford, Connecticut, Dover, Delaware, Tallahassee, Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, Honolulu, Hawaii, Boise, Idaho, Springfield, Illinois, Indianapolis, Indiana, Des Moines, Iowa, Topeka, Kansas, Frankfort, Kentucky, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Augusta, Maine, Maryland, Annapolis, Maryland, Boston, Massachusetts, Lansing, Michigan, St. Paul, Minnesota, Jackson, Mississippi, Jefferson City, Missouri, Helena, Montana, Lincoln, Nebraska, Carson City, Nevada, Concord, New Hampshire, Trenton, New Jersey, Santa Fe, New Mexico, Albany, New York, Raleigh, North Carolina, Bismarck, North Dakota, Columbus, Ohio, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Salem, Oregon, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Providence, Rhode Island, Columbia, South Carolina, Pierre, South Dakota, Nashville, Tennessee, Austin, Texas, Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah, Montpelier, Vermont, Richmond, Virginia, Olympia, Washington, Charleston, West Virginia, Madison, Wisconsin, and Cheyenne, Wyoming. Very good. All right. Go ahead and you may get to your reading. Don't forget to read the fact box 1 through 20, and we will see you in the next lesson.